Hello my friends, today we are going to be having a sort of self-care inspired sewing session. I'm really feeling a loungy vibe. I'm in very soft clothes today, but I still feel pretty cute. Put on some earrings and necklace, you know how it is. So I'm gonna be making a lovely little loungy robe situation, and if I have enough fabric, I'll be making matching shorts. This is a free pattern from Peppermint magazine. It's on their website. Highly recommend checking it out. They have a number of free patterns. So we're just gonna get into it. I already printed and pieced together and cut out my pattern. Now I'm gonna be placing them all down and cutting out the fabric, and it should be a pretty quick sew. So I'm looking forward to that. Without waiting any further, let's go over to the sewing room. But first, a little note about our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Parade. I'm really excited to be working with Parade for this video, especially because this outfit that I'm wearing is a new cotton collection. It's a tencel fabric, and it's actually a very similar fabric, if not identical, to the robe that I'm making. It's a sustainable fabric, and I think that it just feels so nice, soft to the touch, and it's also quite cool to the touch, which makes it perfect for the summertime and perfect for sleeping if you're a bit of a warm sleeper like myself. If you've been on this channel before, you know that I have talked about how I will make most of my own clothing, but the one thing that I really do not enjoy or really care to make is underwear and basics kind of like this. I do prefer to buy them, but I'm really picky about where I get my clothing from when I am buying it new, and that is where Parade comes in. They are a sustainable brand, and their values really match up with my own, and so I can bring in pieces like this into my wardrobe and feel really good about it. They're also really comfy, really soft, and just really enjoyable to wear. I've been wearing them nonstop since I've gotten them in the mail, and they are a pretty solid addition to my wardrobe. I specifically chose this yellow because it matches with the yellow from the robe that I'm making, and I just wanted a set that makes me feel good, that sparks joy, that is cute but also super comfy. And that was the whole point of this video, was to make something that I feel good in just being at home and just doing my own thing. If you want to see what this all looks like in action with the robe, with this whole set, then definitely stay tuned until the end because it's going to come together really nicely. And if you're interested in shopping Parade, I have a link in my description box for you to check out. Now let's get on with the video. This is the sewing room situation. There's Love Island. These are my pattern pieces here, mini piles. So I'm just gonna get my fabric. I'll show you. 1 second. This is the fabric that we are working with. It is lovely, drapey. I believe it's a Lensing Ecovero viscose situation, but I'll let you know in the description box or on the screen. It's very drapey. It will be perfect as a robe. It's so cute. I love the colors. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into that. So let's go. This next portion is sped up by 3 times. You may not be able to tell because I am moving slow. And the whole reason for moving slowly is because I am playing pattern Tetris. Now, most patterns, if not every pattern I've used, will give you a cutting layout. And that is usually pretty helpful when trying to decide how to lay out your pattern on the fabric. That said, I was trying to squeeze out enough space for a pair of shorts, and so I'm playing this little Tetris game with my pattern pieces, actually changing around the pattern as I go, measuring it against my arm, trying to see how much I want to use for the sleeves, how long I want it to be, all of that stuff, because I wanted to be as smart as possible with my pattern placement so that I could use every last bit of this fabric because it is super beautiful and I didn't want to waste it. Once I'm satisfied with most of my layout, I'm starting to place my pattern weights. And when I say pattern weights, I've used that term very loosely. You can see I'm just kind of using whatever I have. And I'm cutting out my pattern pieces on my fabric. After laying out all of my pattern pieces in a way that I find sufficient, I have my pattern weights down and I'm cutting out my pattern pieces. Now I say pattern weights very, very loosely because obviously I'm just using whatever I have on hand here, and I think that's kind of the way to do it. But you can see off to the right, I have a pattern piece that's not in use yet. And that's because I had maybe 2 or 3 pattern pieces similar to that I did not lay out. And that's because I wanted to cut the main pieces out first, see how much fabric I have left, and then try to strategically place those two so that I can still get out that pair of shorts that I'm trying to make. I'm being really mindful with my scraps because, like I mentioned, I really would like to get a pair of shorts out of this fabric. I don't know. We're not working with a lot. It might be very tiny shorts. But that said, I do really want to try to get shorts out. So I'm being really, really careful with the fabric. I'm using like these little tiny scraps here for the belt loops. These might become pockets either on the shorts or on the robe. So I'm just being really thoughtful as I cut out the fabric, and I was also playing a little bit of Tetris with the pattern pieces, and I'm going to cut out the last couple of pattern pieces, and then I'm going to try to see what I can do to get some shorts happening here. I've never done an inverted pleat before. Look how pretty that is. It looks quite nice. It looks wonky because I have to press it, but can you see? So pretty. I love that. That's great. Go me. Learning new skills. It's always very confusing to me when something like this happens. Like, why has this happened? Where did I go wrong? Well, clearly I went wrong with the cutting, but like, what on earth? That's not even a little off. That's a whole lot that's off. I don't know, my dudes. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna keep going. It's time for my favorite foot. This is the only feet content you'll get on my channel. So we've got let me show you where we're at. I find a construction like this really helpful with like visualizing how things come together because it's so simple and can maybe seem like a puzzle or seem more challenging than it is. But really this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And it's gonna come together from here really, really quickly. So what's gonna happen now is I'm going to turn this the other way, so right sides together, and then I'm gonna sew this edge together and the side piece together, and that's gonna become the sleeve and the side seams. It's really simple. I'm gonna be folding it here, and it kind of becomes almost like one straight line the way that you sew it. You maybe do like a little pivot here, but barely. It's really, really simple. It's a really nice, clean way of doing sleeves. It's not always possible because sometimes you have more of a curve, but for like a construction like this, it's really nice and simple. That's what makes it so beginner friendly. So I'm going to now turn this inside out, as I mentioned. Oh yeah, you can really see it like this. Okay. So I'm gonna turn it inside out like this, and I'm gonna sew it straight here and then straight there. So I do a little pivot under the arm and then sew it straight down. We're almost there. It's a really fast, nice, quick construction. Oh. All right, my friends, just a little quick tip. Learn from my mistakes. When you lengthen a pattern piece, make sure you also lengthen the corresponding pattern pieces, because otherwise you will come to a situation where your collar piece is 5 inches shorter than the length of the garment. So, you know, we're okay. We've got some extra fabric at the bottom, so I'm just gonna do a little quick fix, but Jesus, just don't do that. Don't do that. After adding some length to the collar, I am now pinning it down to top stitch it. So essentially what I'm doing is measuring it on the wrong side. I'm trying to get into that crease there, you can see it, and then I'm pinning it on the opposite side because that's where I'm going to be top stitching. The goal is essentially to try to get as clean of a top stitch as possible while also making sure that I am catching the fold there. That is sort of the tricky part of top stitching a collar like this, but it's not too challenging and I've got my system down. And then once that's all done, I am now top stitching the collar, following the line of those pins and also making sure that I'm sticking within the correct seam allowance. So I'm measuring that using the plate on my sewing machine. This part is always pretty tedious and makes me a little bit nervous, but I think I did a pretty good job. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for being here. I am super happy with how this set turned out. I love the robe. It's really comfy. The pattern was really, really easy. I highly recommend it, especially for beginners. I think it's something that you can easily make kind of loungy like this, or you can make it as something that you wear out. It's totally up to you. I think it's really versatile and can look really good in many different fabrics and styles and all that stuff. And then this whole thing together, the yellow with the lemons, is super cute and it just makes me feel adorable and just comfy and sexy, and that's all I want in my loungewear. So thank you again to Parade for sponsoring this video. Again, if you are interested in shopping Parade, check out the link in the description box and I will see you next time. Bye.